Chapter 1. Black Lake Cemetery was a study in contrasts. A velvety lawn, vibrant and lush, shrouded by people in dark attire with vacant expressions, all aimed toward the focal point, a slick mahogany casket perched over a shadowy hole. I allowed my eyes to settle there for a moment, along with my thoughts. But nothing good came of it, just a grim and sobering realization. There wasn't enough dirt on this earth to bury that much evil. I forced my attention away from my mother's grave, fidgeted with my tie to loosen the knot. This place was hotter than the hinges of hell, an oppressive blanket of humidity and temperatures climbing to heights so ambitious that even my eyelids were sweating. Summertime in Georgia, just as I'd always remembered. I hadn't been back in years. I hadn't missed much. Listening to the preacher, I felt like I was attending a funeral for a stranger. And in a way, I was. Dedicated and loving? I must have missed that day. I moved on to the crowd, recognized less than half of them. An outsider looking in, that's all I was, surrounded by sharp glares and astonished whispers. What's he doing here? Welcome home. So nobody expected me to show. I got that. Not sure I expected me to show. Don't know why, but I felt compelled to do it. I suppose some part of me needed to close the door on her once and for all, to see she was really gone. Cancer of the spine. Apparently she complained of back pain for months, but never bothered seeing a doctor. Typically stubborn, and she paid the price for it. Diagnosis to death? Less than 3 weeks. I arrived just in time to see her go. It had been at least 15 years since I'd last seen my mother. I found a mere shadow of the woman I remembered, thin, frail, and conscious only long enough to hiss her parting words at me, all 3 of them. Fix your hair. That was it. That was her. With all the pain and suffering, her venom still managed to find its way to the surface one last time. Then she drifted off, never opened those joyless eyes again. The crowd began to disperse. I turned from her coffin and began walking to my car. Then I heard a faint, familiar voice behind me. I glanced back and saw Uncle Warren doubling his steps to catch up. Too late to pretend I didn't hear him. "Doing okay, Patrick?" he asked, sidling up beside me, his tone a strange hybrid of disingenuous and awkward concern. I forced a polite smile, kept walking. "Fine. You?" "All right, I suppose." He let out a long, labored sigh, as if the moment required it. "You know, it's hard, all this." I half smiled, half nodded, half believed him, and kept walking with my gaze on the pavement. "So," he said, the sudden bright tone in his voice startled me. "How are things at the magazine?" "Great. You know, busy." A seemingly endless pause stretched between us, and then he said abruptly, "Your mama was a good woman." It sounded more like an argument than a fact. I gave no response. The comment didn't deserve one. I also wondered when senators started using words like mama. He continued, "You're still coming by the house to take care of the paperwork, right?" I nodded tentatively. Apparently, he'd set up a trust account for me years ago. I didn't need his money, didn't want it, and I planned on telling him so. I just figured his sister's gravesite wasn't the place to do it. "And I hope you'll stay in town for a bit," he added. "Leaving tomorrow," I replied, a little too quickly. "Then maybe you can come by the house, see if there's anything you want. You know, sentimental items." That stopped me in my tracks. I stared at him for a long moment, then said, "You just don't get it, Warren, do you?" "Get what?" I looked away, shook my head. He started to say something, stopped, and let out a quiet, exasperated sigh. I reached for my car keys, fumbled with them, then felt his hand on my shoulder. I don't know why, but something really bumps at my nerves when people do that, and Warren does it